Hey everybody, it's Mark Schultz here, and we are back for another edition of Recovery in Aviation. And today, I want to tell you about something. Is that have you ever had really difficult problems to solve in engineering that revolve around materials? Hey, today we're going to talk about materials that solve the problem of fireproofing and providing insulation and protection from heat and reduced weight and longer life. I have some guests today that are experts in an exclusive industry product that we're going to talk about that can cause you to be successful in your business. Stay tuned. You are not going to want to miss this. Hey, welcome.
Hi there.
How are you guys today? Dianne? Dianne is on the right over there. Dianne, how are you today?
Doing wonderfully, thank you.
And Dianne, where are you coming from today? Where are you today?
I'm actually at an in-person conference in Atlanta, Georgia today.
That's fantastic. You're in an in-person conference.
Yes.
That is great. I mean, you know, we've all missed being at in-person conferences where we can engage with people. Hey, just quickly before I get to Paulie next to you, what's that experience like?
Unusual. It's been a long time, but it's really nice to be able to actually talk to real people in person again.
Okay, and are people masked up? Are they meeting?
Absolutely. They're socially distanced. They're masked. The tables are set up very safely. So it can be done.
Okay, that's great. I'm really glad to hear that. We'll come back to that in a minute. Next to you, I have Paulie. Paulie, welcome. Where are you coming to us from today?
Hi there. I'm holed up in St. Louis. Not seeing anybody.
Yeah, we're all closed up. I'm in Seattle, Washington area, and we're closed up as well. Hey, listen, let's jump right into this conversation. I want to start with Dianne and say, Dianne, who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm Dianne Zimnavoda. I am the CEO and president of RCF Technologies, which is a company that designs and manufactures high temperature, fireproof solutions to difficult environment pieces for aerospace, NASCAR, things like that.
Yeah, you have some really interesting products, and I'm so excited to be able to talk about it because, Dianne, listen, one of the reasons that you guys are on this show right now is because a number of weeks back, somebody on one of my programs said, hey, can't you talk about something interesting like materials? And I'm like, interesting like materials? And then I dug into this, and it was very, very interesting. And Paulie reached out to me, and we had a conversation about what you guys are doing. And I said, I have to share this with people out there in the industry. Paulie, tell us, who are you and what do you do?
I am Paulie Rose. I am the Director of Sales and Marketing for RCF Technologies, and I help engineers find solutions to extreme environments requiring specialty parts and components.
Yeah, and some of the stuff I've seen that you guys do, I understand that. I agree with that. And some of the problems you're solving appear to me to be some of the hardest problems out there, you know, to solve for engineers. So listen, if you're out there watching and if you're an engineer and you want to learn something today, stay tuned. If you're a business person, you want to learn how to save your business money and how to be able to reduce the total cost of ownership of certain parts, you need to stand by as well. Hey, listen, really quickly, I want to point out to you that it would really be good if you could help us get this message out to people. And share this. If you look down in the bottom right corner, you'll see that there's a button to share the stream, and you can share this with people, and that really helps us get the message out. We're passionate about recovery in aviation and growth in aerospace, and we want to get the message out and help people, and by you sharing, that's one way that we can do that. Now, also, we are going to be taking questions live today. You got a couple of experts right in front of you here right now, many years in the industry, and we're going to take live questions, and we'd love to have your comments that we can be able to interact with you. So you can put a comment and a question right there in the box, and you can engage with us in this conversation. Listen, I want to tell you is that I know we have people all around the world that watch these broadcasts all the time, and it's always fun to know where people are coming from. And so why don't you just jump right into that comment box right now and just let me know where you are and where you're watching from, and we'll give you a little shout out and recognize you, maybe your company or you, but tell us who you are and where you're at today, and we'd really like to know that. And also start thinking about your questions that you have. And as we go, we'll address those questions and we'll help you understand the products that we're talking about today. So let's jump right into it. All right. So I want to come back to you said that you were at a conference right now, Dianne, and I would like to talk a little bit about what you do at those conferences and how you engage with people. And I understand you're trying to share your products and materials, you know, with them. And so let's just kind of jump into that. you're down there at a conference in Atlanta. What are you doing down there? What's the conference that you're at right now?
This happens to be a business conference. Generally speaking, however, I go to conferences where we have a booth and we can actually exhibit. Paris Air Show, for example, Farnborough, things like that, where we can interact with engineers and show them the product in an environment where they're expecting to see new things.
Okay, so you go to a trade show and you show some of your products. And so what are some of the types of customers that you're engaging with?
Typically, they're engineers, although we often find salespeople who know of issues with their customers, and they kind of gravitate to us because it's something different.
And in what industries do you usually focus on?
90% of our work is aerospace, but we do go to like the racing shows occasionally, to a couple of automotive shows, different things like that.
Okay, great. Well, it's good that you can meet with your customers again. I see we have one of your customers that just, popped up on the screen here. Looks like he says that he knows you and he's one of your customers. We'll throw that up there real quick on the screen. Looks like Eric. Can't pronounce that last name. Yeah. So shout out to Eric with Tyco, customer of RCF. Eric, maybe you could ask some questions as we go forward and help us get the conversation going about questions and help people understand what it is that we're doing. So that's great. So Dianne, that's a really great way that you can, continue to engage with customers. A lot of the people that I work with over the last year, I've worked with about 300 different people doing these companies, doing these live broadcasts. And the reason that we do it is because people haven't been able to go to conferences and get their message out. So that's been difficult. But let's jump into what some of your products are. Just as a quick little overview, I know you're in the aerospace industry and you have some products that you produce in the aerospace industry. Paulie or Dianne, can you tell our viewers what they're looking at on the screen here right now?
Sure. What you're looking at, a couple of seal. The bottom one is a seal. It's an APU seal used by Honeywell for the last 40 years. The other two are different types of connectors or short ducting. The one on my right is the one by the airplane, is actually electrically conductive, while the other one is just for higher pressures.
Okay, all right. I guess, Paulie, you have some examples of some of those with you there right now, don't you?
I do indeed.
Can you show us some of those parts that you have there? Okay.
This is one of the ones you pictured up above.
Yeah. Okay.
In the previous slide. And what's special about it, one of the many things, in fact, as Dianne mentioned, is that it is electrically conductive, but there's no weight added. So that is one of the major benefits.
Okay, so
etc.
Well, is this an OEM part or is it a replacement part or what is it?
It's an OEM part.
So it comes on the aircraft as originally delivered?
It does. That particular part is one of a series that we make for ultimately for Boeing for the 787 air management system.
Okay, all right. So that part is a crucial part as part of the air distribution system, right? All right. Now, tell me a little bit about, Dianne, tell me a little bit about that material. What makes it special? What is it? What makes it special?
Well, in this particular case, it's special because it is very lightweight. Most materials are weighted, or the material is filled with metal to make them conductive. Our material is totally non-conductive. Instead of adding metal, we simply put in strips of conductive material, allow them to come out to the surface on the ID at the top and the bottom, and so we don't add weight.
Okay, great, good. Paulie, can you hold that part up again?
Absolutely.
Is that a rigid part or is it flexible or?
It's quite flexible, as you can see.
Okay.
And that has a lot to do with the material, but also the design itself.
Okay, now this appears to be a newer material, an advanced material. Dianne, this material, I understand, has been developed by RCF Technologies, by your company?
Absolutely. My father, who was our original engineer, developed it in 1974. And Boeing was our very first customer, as a matter of fact.
Okay, is it widely used throughout the industry or is it new or what?
It is not new, although we are still learning more about it. For example, we have only used it as an insulating material in the last 5 years. The electrical conductivity is new. The material itself has been around, and we knew it was high temperature and fireproof from the 1970s.
Okay, and how is it manufactured? You know, you said that there were strips laid up in it to make it electrically conductive. How do you manufacture it? I mean, is it just?
It's actually a composite. What we do is we take a proprietary silicone and coat it onto a fabric, normally fiberglass, although it can be Nomex or something else. And then under heat and pressure, we force the rubber through the weave of the fabric so that it becomes homogeneous. And then once it's fully processed, we get enormous different properties. For example, it takes temperature, it operates continuously at temperatures from minus 170 to plus 850 Fahrenheit, which no rubber can do.
Yeah, and is it widely used throughout aviation aerospace today or not?
It is. It's a lot of companies use us, but not all the groups in each company know of us. Aerospace is very siloed. It's very difficult to spread the word throughout everybody in an organization.
Okay, all right. I understand that that many times this material replaces like metal parts, and so we're looking at maybe some variety of different metal parts here. And so, you know, where would you use like a metal part, or where would you use this Reshot material that you've developed?
In that case, it's a metal connector, which are used throughout aircraft to hold pipes and tubes together. The difference in this is it's stainless steel, but it's 17.7, so it's very lightweight. It's almost the same weight as an aluminum coupling. It has our seal in it, which means that the temperature range is much higher than that of a standard coupling. And we have a very quick disconnect end cap. So it allows for ease of access, ease to put it in, take it apart, doesn't require tooling. And it's quite simple.
Okay, all right. Well, that's interesting. So I guess as a supplier, you've developed this really cool, you know, material, this really cool process, and it looks like it's being used fairly widely across the industry today. But it's been around for a long time. And so I have a question now: is that yeah, you deliver parts as OEM original parts that are delivered in brand new aircraft. Do you have people that are replacing parts? Do you have replacement parts that are used instead of maybe original equipment parts?
We do. We have PMA on a number of parts, so we can sell direct to the airlines. Often, the bigger airlines that can approve things on their own come to us to solve problems as well. So we do that kind of repair work, or it's not so much repair as replacement work when they're having issues.
Okay. So if someone is an engineer, Paulie, you say you like to connect with engineers and help them solve problems and find solutions to problems. Where would someone be looking at a material like this to replace maybe an original equipment product? You said you have PMA products, part manufacturer approval products. You know, Paulie, where would you use something like this to replace an existing product?
One example is when there is a system that might need to be insulated or made fireproof. So the whole system is already established, but to make it insulated or fireproof, you may have to take the entire system apart. In our case, we have a design that would allow for easy installation without taking anything apart. We have parts that split or that overlap or wrap. And so the design itself allows for a huge savings of time and cost.
Yeah, I saw one of your products on YouTube where you did a video on this. And by the way, Paulie, you do some great videos that really help people to understand, you know, the products. And so I wanted to give a shout out to everybody out there is that I noticed that the number of subscribers on that YouTube channel is kind of low, but I have gone to your YouTube channel and seen a lot of really interesting information. And so, hey, if you guys want to learn about the products that they have, Paulie does a great job of explaining them. And one of them that I saw recently that I really liked is you had like a Firewall insulator which actually opened up. You called it an alligator, you know,
A gator
insulator. And is that it right there? Okay.
Right. Yeah. So this is what we call a gator mouth, and what makes it so special, aside from the fact that it is a fireproof material, is that it has single fastener access, and so this is used for plumbing of a firewall, and all of the wire bundles can be easily inserted or removed simply by sliding them in and out, because you don't have to, you know, take off the whole plate, slide them through, put the whole thing back together again. You can pull them out, you can put them in. And just that overlap creates the fire barrier. So it's a wonderful design that really serves a great purpose.
I think that's great that you've designed something like that. I guess I haven't really told you this, but I actually used to be an A&P. I mean, I still am. My license is good forever, but I am an A&P, but I haven't worked on airplanes in a long time. But one of the things that I used to hate is the maintainability of airplanes and the ability to be able to actually work on something. I sadly broke some parts in the past, trying to install them, that were actually quite costly. And they had to be, repaired because of the damage by putting them in. And so when you are looking at maintainability and you're creating products like that help engineers to design products for maintainability, I really like that. That's great that you're doing that. I think that's really important. Hey, listen, I wanted to give a shout out to some people again that are, out there watching right now. I just wanted to tell you is that we're going to be taking some questions live. If you guys have any questions, put them into the box. We have some people that have joined us from we have another person from Wencor that apparently is a distributor of your products. Welcome, Ricky. I'm glad you're watching with us today. And we have a gentleman who watches a lot of our broadcasts, Matt Churches. He's coming to us from the UK. So I just wanted to encourage you, if you're out there watching, let us know where you are and put your questions in, because we're going to get into asking some more difficult questions here of these experts as we go forward. So, hey, let's move forward. I want to address a couple of other things. Dianne, you said that you addressed difficult problems like fireproofing and heat and insulation and weight and long life. And I also interpreted that into the total cost of ownership. What would you say are some of the key reasons why people choose RCF products today?
I think there are several. Number one is weight. In aerospace, that's one of the paramount issues. Second is probably long life. Because let me take a seal, for example. A typical O-ring has to be replaced fairly frequently because over time they'll take a set. Our seals outlast an O-ring by 40 times, which means their stock costs are reduced, the likelihood of a failure is reduced. It just saves them money every which way. The fact that we can do multiple things, we work in multiple environments, for whether it's chemical, heat, the same seal will do the job. So there are a number of different reasons why people come to us repeatedly.
Okay. Now you said the name of the product. Tell everybody the name of the product again.
It's called Reshot.
Reshot. Okay. Now, yeah, exactly. And so this was developed by your company. Now, how long ago again?
We developed this in 1975 or 74, I guess.
1975. Is it, if this technology has been around that long, how has it maintained its life, out there today? And what causes you to continue to be able to sell it? I mean, what are some of the biggest features that allow it to remain competitive and be a leading edge product even today, 40 years later at this point?
Well, first of all, it does what we say it does. So people can rely on it. We come up with very innovative designs to solve problems. The gator mouth was a perfect example of that. We make things easy for engineers and for maintenance people. We don't require any tools on any product we make to install it or take it out. And the other part of it is that we really value customer service. So we're there for our customers when they need us. And I think that is not often the case anymore.
Okay. Do you have an engineering team?
I do.
Okay. And so if I come to you and say, I have this problem I want to solve, I have this particular part that's failing, or I need to find a replacement. I mean, Paulie, in one of your videos, you said that I should be asking you questions, is that, well, you reversed that around. You said that if I come to you and say I need a product and you start asking me questions, you said that if you're not asking me questions, I should go to another supplier. Okay. Tell me more about that. What do you mean? What's your process of engaging with people and helping them to find the right products for their problem?
Well, I think often manufacturers are approached to provide a particular shelf stocked kind of an item. We do almost exclusively custom design. So in order to provide the very best product that will meet your needs, we need to understand what your optimal performance is, because that's what we design towards. So while you may think, this standard product that you have will do the job, and it might, we may have something that will help you reach an additional goal. So by asking questions, understanding the environment, understanding the weight you might need, all of the questions, you, oh, did you lose me?
Yeah, we did. We lost your video. Yeah. So let me just while Paulie's working on that, Dianne, I'm just going to jump back to it for a minute. Is Dianne, you offer customer service, and that's one of the things that you guys say you do really well is providing good customer service to people. You know, during the time when we're a little bit distanced from some of our customers today, having good customer service is really important. How do you overcome that challenge of staying connected to your customers during a difficult time like this?
We live on Zoom or WebEx or Teams. We're constantly in meetings. We're doing a design project with Bell Helicopter right now, and we have 2 meetings a week with their engineering team to ensure that they're getting exactly what they need. And we do that with all our customers.
Okay, so now you've told us that you're really widely used across the industry. You know, can you talk about some of the applications, some of the broader applications of where you used, just to give people an idea of the breadth of where you are today in the industry?
Absolutely. There's almost no place on an airplane that we haven't been used. We do APU work, we do anti-icing work, we do engine work, we work with companies like Rolls-Royce, Honeywell, GE. We do thrust reverser work, pretty much anything. We're now working with interiors with Gulfstream. So there's pretty much not a place on an airplane that we haven't had some kind of contact.
Okay, and I understand that you're also in other industries as well. What other industries do you find yourself in as well?
Well, we are currently working with somebody who has a new design for a parking meter, which I never knew they would need something for, but apparently they actually use a plasma cutter to cut their wiring to size. And in order to prevent the wires from melting, we made a fire cap so they can reuse it as a tool to permit them to install their parking meters. We work with heavy industry. We work with NASCAR, as I mentioned before. We've worked on mining equipment because it was extremely cold in Siberia and nothing was holding up.
Are you working anywhere in space vehicles at this point in time?
I'm sorry, in space, absolutely. We work with a couple of companies that supply to NASA. We've done several projects and we're working on one now.
Okay, well, so it sounds like you're broadly across the industry. So Dianne, as the president and CEO of your company, how has the changes in the economic conditions affected your business? And have you pivoted to any other parts of the industries in order to be able to maintain momentum and success at this point?
We've done a little more outreach to non-aerospace companies, but the fact is in aerospace, even though revenues are down because the commercial end is down, military is still up and we're involved with that. And even the larger companies all have R&D budgets that are still, in fact, they're moving ahead faster than they were before. And so our engineering department has not stopped. We're still hiring in that department and moving ahead quite rapidly.
That's great. Hey, one of your customers out there, Eric, he also said, "Hey, we're also in helicopters. Remember?"
That's correct.
Yeah. So we don't want to leave anybody out. Sorry, we don't want to discriminate. So helicopters are definitely an important part. Hey, have you started working this week? I've had some interesting conversations with people about drones and urban air mobility and vehicles and things like that. I actually have a meeting with a urban air mobility company tomorrow. Are you in that space at all, in drones or in,
we're not? Paulie has been contacted by someone in that industry, so it's just beginning to come into our focus. But I'm sure there's a place for us there as well.
Okay, well, if anyone's in the drone industry or in the urban air mobility, vehicle industry, I would recommend that you reach out to RCF Technologies because there may be some opportunities there, as well. So I wanted to talk a little bit about return on investment with you, Dianne. I know that people are always looking for ROI. Listen, I know that the people are looking to solve problems. We talked about that, all right? The ability to have a product that can solve your problem really is key. That's really important, all right? But if we start talking about then replacement products or return on investment or total cost of ownership, how does the Reshot material compare to other methods and materials in its return on investment? Why should somebody buy it?
It's interesting because up front, we cost more than standard materials, no question. However, we have a 20-year shelf life, both in the cured and the uncured state, so that you don't lose product over time. They last longer and they don't fail. So, and the other part of it is that because we have unusual techniques, for example, we bond very readily to almost any substructure, which means you can reduce the number of fasteners that you use, which reduces weight, which reduces extra parts that you have to stock and buy. So there are a lot of hidden savings in using our material.
So what about reliability and performance over time? You know, its ability to stay bonded to those substructures. How does that perform?
Never had an issue.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to give data on failures because we've had almost none.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, good. Well, hey, listen, we have a slide that I want to bring up, and I wanted the two of you to respond to that. But you know, I ran a quick little survey out on LinkedIn before we had this broadcast, and I just wanted to ask people: what's the most difficult materials problems to solve in aviation aerospace? And on the screen there, you can see that people talked about fireproofing, heat insulation, weight, and the life of a part. But it looks like the winner looks like it was a dead tie. Listen, this wasn't a scientific poll. I just put it out there. So anyway, but it looks like it was a dead tie between fireproofing and the life of a part. Can you talk to me a little bit about, why it's difficult for people to solve problems in the area of fireproofing or the life of a part? Can we talk about that a little bit? Why would this been an answer that somebody had?
Couple of reasons. First of all, not a lot of materials can be fireproof in very thin layups. Our material is fireproof at 25 thousandths thick, which is really thin. And that will take a kerosene flame for 15 minutes without burn through. At 50 thousandths thick, we've actually taken a 2,000-degree flame for over an hour without burn through. So again, it's a simple solution. It's very flexible. We can turn it into any contour or any configuration. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It allows engineers to manipulate the material and still maintain their fireproof needs.
Okay, now how does that compare to like other similar materials? I mean, is it better than other materials? How does it compare?
I don't know of other materials that other than metal that can be used in those thicknesses and still be fireproof. And so I think that's a real advantage that we have. The fact is that we can bond it to substructures and make them fireproof. And we can also insulate so that the backside temperature never gets over 280 degrees or thereabouts. So we offer many more solutions to what looks like a simple problem in fireproofing.
Okay, well, good. Well, let me jump down to another one. Paulie, I want to ask you a question. Is that if I am an engineer, which by the way I am, and if I came to you and I said, hey, I'd like to learn more about your products and the life of your products and how they last so long, how would you try to work with me to better understand what my requirements were? How would you go about doing that?
Well, truthfully, it really depends on the particular application. I would begin again to ask questions about the environment, about the requirements, about what your optimal performance would look like. And then we would work together to create and custom design a part that would suit your particular needs.
Yeah, fantastic. So, Dianne, is it you've gone through the process of getting PMA approval, but if I come to you and ask, for a particular part that I need, what's the process? How do I work with you to get approval for this part to use in an aviation aerospace application?
Well, typically, if it's something that needs approval, we would go back to either to a company that does PMAs. We don't do too many of them any longer, so we probably work.
Oh, there we go. Yep. So Paulie, I'm going to switch back to you for a minute, and we'll just drop Dianne out for a second. It looks like we're having a few internet issues there, but I want to go back to the chart that we had where we were talking about the survey, and so we were looking at the life of parts and the length of time that the parts last. Is that have you had any discussions with people and compared? Is it how much longer your Reshot parts last compared to other parts? Do you have any information that tells me what kind of my expectations would be looking at that?
Well, again, the best example is the O-ring that Dianne spoke about before. This is an example of our O-ring replacement, which is the first thing that you'll notice. It's a different shape than a standard O-ring. Standard O-ring is round, and this is a rectangular cross-section. A standard O-ring, just as an example, energizes at 15 to 18%. So at a certain point, after you squeeze it that many times, you're going to take a set and you're going to have to replace your O-ring. Our seals O-ring replacements energize at approximately 6%. So you're never squeezing this hard enough for it to take a set. So it's going to last, as Dianne mentioned, 40 times longer. So like everything else, when it comes to our material, our designs, our parts, every part and every application is specific to the customer's needs for that particular part. It's custom designed to meet the needs of that requirement of that application. So I can't tell you a standard across the board. We're going to last X times longer. Our parts do have a 20-year shelf life, but depending on the temperature, depending on the environment, depending on the conditions, we'll be able to give you a better sense of the life and the benefits of the longer life.
Yeah, exactly. So having a shelf life like that, 20 years, that's pretty impressive. And then also, having something that lasts 40 times longer. And so you're saying that the materials don't take a set, and so they can be reused. And how about damage? Are they less susceptible to damage?
That's a great question. We actually are. It is very difficult to damage our parts. As you saw before, they're flexible. They're not rigid. You're not gonna, they're not gonna crack. They're not gonna flake off. You can move them as you need. If really the only way you can damage one of our parts is by cutting it. So we actually had an example where there was a customer who had a part and somebody set something sharp right on top of it, and it created a sort of like a gash in the material. We were able to send out a repair kit, which was very easily and quickly taken care of in the field. It was simply a patch that sat right over the cut in the material, and with heat they used a hot air gun in this example. It was actually, in fact, I think it was at McDonnell Douglas that this happened. They took a hot air gun, and at 350 degrees for 3 minutes, your cut is now repaired. The patch will cover it up, and you can continue to use it. So you don't have to take it out. You don't have to send it in for repair. You don't have to remove it. It's quick, it's easy, it's repairable, and that's again,
there you have it. There's another big advantage. I hadn't thought about the fact that it's actually repairable. So that's really interesting. So you actually have methods to repair it. It just doesn't have to be replaced. So if you have an O-ring and it gets nicked or something like that, of course you're going to throw it away. But to have a duct like that has a repair process, that's also really impressive. Now, can you expect the performance on that to last? Maybe it won't last as long as the original part, or will it? I don't know.
It is as if it's new. I believe in that case that I was telling you about, where they had to repair the cut, the plane went right back into service. There was no delay. There was no ground time beyond that quick initial repair, and the problem was solved.
Yeah, I just think that's really impressive. That's really great. Hey, if we jump to another subject there, we're talking about ROI still. But within that subject of ROI, I know you guys have made an impact on stocking costs and things like that. So it looks like since you have longer shelf lives, and if you have, so the products won't expire, but also it looks like that they have better performance. I guess that has an impact on stocking then as well. So you'd have to stock less parts, right? I mean, so I guess that would make sense from that standpoint. So they last longer. You can stock them longer. They're less susceptible to damage. They have a longer shelf life. Those all sound like, really positive things as far as overall, cost impact. Now, Dianne did say earlier that the products cost a little bit more upfront. Is that typically what somebody would expect when they come to you?
I think that is perhaps often the case. Dianne's better suited to answer such a question.
Yeah.
But it's quite insignificant, honestly, because
Yeah.
The time in development of the parts, we often will go back and forth for weeks, months, whatever it takes, really, with the engineering team that we're designing for and with. And as I said, everything is custom built. So the time invested is enormous. And as I said, the parts will last longer. So you're going to make back your money.
Perfect. So if I'm an engineer and if I'm trying to solve an initial design problem and I'm looking at fireproofing and I'm looking at a heat problem and I need insulation, or I'm looking at ways to reduce, weight, looking at, lifetime maintainability, repair, this sounds like this is definitely, a product that we should be looking at. There's no question
about it. And the truth of the matter is we often get calls from engineers and they say, we don't care what it costs. We need it because there is nothing else that's going to do the job for us. As I said previously, if the alternative is taking apart an entire system, people are willing to pay whatever it takes to solve the problem, know it's going to be reliable, and get the plane back into service.
Okay, well, very good. Now, I understand your customers are worldwide and they also operate in many different industries. Do you also supply parts to, all the major aircraft manufacturers today?
We do pretty much across the board. We are working in a number of different countries. We often will supply to, a tier one supplier that will ultimately end up with, the Boeings or the Airbuses of the world. But a lot of the design work leading up to that sale is with engineers in probably between 10 and 15 countries we're currently involved with.
Well, good. That's really good. Well, one of the main objectives we had today of trying to, showcase your products is that I literally had, someone in one of the comments one time in one of my broadcasts say, can't we learn something about, lightweight and low cost, materials out there? Well, I'm hoping that for those of you that are watching today, that this has been beneficial to you, to be able to learn something about this product, because when I saw it, I was really impressed. Paulie and I had an original discussion about this material, and I was impressed. And I thought, well, it looks like it's used in a lot of different places around the world, by the OEM manufacturers, and people are looking at it for replacement parts. But I thought it was definitely worthy of showcasing and having people, reach out and, continue or get conversations with you about this. Now, Paulie, if I'm an engineer or if I'm a business person out there and I want to investigate this further, what's my next step? Can I reach out to you on LinkedIn, or do I reach out to you?
You can find me on LinkedIn on my profile page. You can find me at the RCF business page. You can check out our website. It has a contact me page. You can email, you can call, just reach out and we will be happy to connect.
Yeah, great. And so we had your email address flashed up on there. And so, if people want to reach out to you and get in touch with you, I've been really impressed, Paulie, with your engagement on social media on LinkedIn, because you do a great job of helping people to get a little bit of a glimpse into the products and what you're doing. And so those of you that are watching out there, if you want to learn a little bit more about the products and what they're doing, you can go to their YouTube page. And if you go to their YouTube channel, you can see some of the different things that RCF Technologies is doing and some of the applications that they have. And I would really encourage you to do that, because that's a good way to get started. So go to the YouTube page, go to Paulie's LinkedIn, engage in a conversation, and let's see if you can find some materials that meet your needs by reaching out to RCF Technologies. Hey, Paulie, the reason that we started doing this broadcast was I've been passionate about using social media to communicate with people around the world. And I've been doing it for 2 or 3 years. And then all of a sudden, I had to stop traveling about a year ago now at this point. And I had to use means like this to be able to get a message out, all right? And I found out that there were many people that were trying to get their message out. And so I have, over the last year, tried to help people like your company to be able to communicate and get a message out and just try to help aviation. We decided we'd start this effort called Recovery in Aviation. And I find that there's some companies that are recovering from some economic challenges, but there are also others that are just growing, rapidly and dramatically during this time. But I like to use this kind of medium because we can reach people all around the world. And so if you're watching here today And if you're looking for a great company with great service and a great product, which by the way is proprietary, you can't get this product anywhere else in the world, only from RCF Technologies. It was developed by them. It's manufactured by them. They tell me they have manufacturing capacity and they have the ability to be able to continue to grow and to meet the needs and demands of the aerospace industry today. So if you're interested in what you've seen today, if you're looking for a creative, innovative company, reach out to them, reach out to Paulie and start a conversation with them, because I think you will not regret it. You will find that it definitely adds value to your own business by engaging with RCF Technologies and using their product. Paulie, I really appreciate your engagement here today. I want to ask you one final parting question. I always like to do this with people, and I just want to ask you: what excites you the most about the work that you do in your industry today?
That's a good question. I think it's a two-part answer. I am relatively new to the company, though it runs through my blood. My grandfather was the inventor of this material. My mother, Dianne, has been and is the CEO and president for many, many years. And I have stepped in to this role just in the last couple of years. So while it has been all around me my entire life, I am learning it from a new perspective. And so that's very exciting on the personal level. On the broader level, it is exciting when we can solve problems that others can't, frankly. We really have a very unique niche in the market. We are able to provide products where other companies can't, right in that space between where a rubber won't work because temperatures are too high, for instance, and where you need to go to a metal, to a specialty metal, because those often weigh more and are not flexible, and a whole host of other difficulties when you go to metal. So right in that little space between where you can't use rubber and you don't want to use a metal, that's where we live. And it is exciting to be able to share that with engineers and companies, and to see that we really, this small little business that's been kicking for about 40 years now, is really able to make a difference.
Well, I definitely think they are making a difference, and your knowledge of the product really shows since you've been around it for so long. And we really appreciate you being on the program here today. And if there's anyone else out there as a small business or any size business, and if you're interested in being featured on this program, I'd love to be able to connect with you. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn or on my profile, and I'd love to be able to feature you and your company on this as well. Paulie, I want to thank you and Dianne for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And your company is so very interesting. And I wish you the best in your business.
Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure, Mark.
Thank you. And I'll sign off the way I always do. Fair winds and following seas to you. Everybody have a great day. Bye now.